Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here. We're back with our weekly Q&A. This is Season 3, Episode 14. Getting right into the questions, the first one comes from Lisa Peacock, and they say, "Hi BDCKR, haven't been on in a while. My question is, do you think that Injustice 2 is not as popular because you're unable to glitch or hack? Or do you think that Injustice 1 is better because it gives you a better ability to collect cards?"
The Flash.
It's one of those, heads you win, tails I lose, because it's asking basically for two potential reasons why Injustice 1 is better, right?
And I think at the end of the day, Injustice 1 is better.
Yeah, and I think you've touched on some of the things, but to me the underlying issue is that there's a lot more frustration with Injustice 2.
Yeah.
And frustration whether it's as a collecting game, because you're right. Injustice 2 definitely gives you a lot of ability to collect a lot of different things. There's a limited number of things that are online exclusives, but they rotate enough, I think, that for most of them, except for the relatively new ones, you have really a good opportunity. Anybody has the opportunity to get pretty far.
And I think the main difference is that glitching and hacking definitely changes how easy it is to get stuff, but at a baseline, I feel like the work to reward system for Injustice 1 is just better balanced than Injustice 2, where you can get more targeted kind of exactly what you want, and you can just get stuff what feels like smoother, easier, even without the presence of glitches.
Well, here's the thing, right? I mean, if it was not so hard to collect what you want, glitches would not be as important.
Yeah.
The fact is that they put up so many paywalls to get what you want in Injustice 2 means that, you notice the frustration of not being able to get what you want becomes that much more obvious. And sure, so glitches and hacks would probably actually fix the problem for a lot of people who want to enjoy Injustice 2. Oh, here's the thing too that's very specific to Injustice 2 is that increases the frustration level is the arena, the way they set up the MP Online stuff. Because as far as I know, right now they've got 4 different leaderboards. And it's all based on when you started the game. So if you were there at the hard launch, then you are royally screwed because the amount of time that you need to play and how strong your team has to be means that unless you're willing to commit your life to the game or spend a lot of money, you're not going to get very far in it. Whereas somebody who just started is going to be on a leaderboard where it doesn't take very much to get ranked really high and get some pretty good rewards.
Yeah, so that's kind of frustrating too. And I think at the end of the day, where you can see this is we played the Injustice 1 without glitches for probably a couple hundred hours between us.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Easily. Before any glitches. And so it might have not held our attention for the probably thousand plus hours that we put into it by now.
Yeah.
But even without glitches, it was still good for a couple hundred. Injustice 2, we played for a little while, then got banned and weren't even sad about it. So that's the difference between the games as far as the meaning of glitches, right?
Right.
So the fact that there aren't glitches definitely makes it definitely harder to progress. But we played Injustice 1 without glitches and it was fine. So theoretically, it's just it was just a much more fun game for us.
And the trouble with collecting bleeds into the fighting, because if you can't collect what you want or get what you want, then your options for picking who to fight with is limited too. So then there's more frustration on top because, well, you see these characters that look like they're going to be pretty good and you can't have at them.
Yeah, so you're pretty much stuck with what you got. The actual variation in between characters and the different passives and all that stuff is great. But it doesn't matter if you only have one team.
Yeah, that's right.
The only way that the actual work that they put into the game, and in a lot of facets, it looks like they put a lot of effort into the game. But if the only way to get at that is to pay money or play an insane amount of time, it doesn't matter to us because we're not able to access any of that content meaningfully.
And this will tie into a later question in this episode, but, we're YouTubers not as a vocation, not as a job. We do it for fun. And the more frustrating Injustice 2 is, the less fun it is.
Yeah.
Totally not interested.
And so, I mean, I think that sums it up pretty well. It's just not as good in a lot of ways.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks for the question, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you. We know you're a longtime fan. You actually won, I think, the...
Oh, yeah, we mentioned that before.
Yeah, giveaway way back when. But anyways, the next question comes from Cons Mercado, and they say, I think this Injustice version does not have social media support anymore. They're more focused in Injustice 2 Mobile and the Injustice 2 console version.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, obviously, with the new, it's like that commercial of the banks where there's the kids who get something because they're the new friend, and then the other kid who's been their friend longer says, "But what about me? I've been your friend longer." It's
Those
the
are, yeah.
promotions, right? The idea that the newer people along need more promotions to try to attract instead of trying to retain your audience.
And to be fair, I think it probably is different teams working on the mobile game versus the console game for Injustice 2.
But I think there's
likely,
but I think there's probably a budget line or a man-hour line for deciding who does social media support. And I'll tell you what, to me, game support matters way more than social media support. I played it long enough. I've been through so many ups and downs with Injustice. I don't really need somebody to hold my hand, which is what I think the social media aspect does. It's that we've got enough patience to wait for more content, and we've had to wait longer sometimes, but we've ultimately never been disappointed.
Yeah, it seems like they still are putting enough effort into it. It definitely isn't as much as it was sometimes, and it's easy to go, "Oh man, do you remember the good old days?" Yes. But I think the important part is that they're still putting enough effort into it. There's enough new content coming in to keep us interested, which is, maybe not optimal. Obviously, the best case scenario would be tons of new content all the time, but it's what we got, and I think
I'm happy with it.
Well, one, we have to be happy with it. We have to be at least okay with it, because there's no option that gives us more content, but it's good that...
Well, yes and no. I mean, there's the underlying assumption is that this is all we're going to play, that we're not going to be playing anything else, in which case we have to be happy with it. But, if they weren't supporting it, I think at some point this channel would really die. We'd pull the plug on this, and we'd probably be playing something else.
That's true, but I think right now at least they're still doing a good enough job.
Yeah, no, I can't say I'm
not everybody's obviously going to think they're doing a great job, but I think right now they're still doing... I still think they're doing a pretty good job.
I agree.
And it's good, especially considering everything new coming in has to fit with the framework of everything that's already there. Yes. That everything new that they put
Nothing new is broken it, like the same way that Platinum characters in Immortals broke that, and Diamond characters, in my mind, broke Mortal Kombat.
So there's still some good game balance and good fun, and every new character is a lot of fun to play. I don't think they've done a bad job releasing new stuff anytime recently, in recent memory.
Yeah.
But so there we go. And the next and final question comes from Danger Kid AK. And they say, "Keep up the good work. I am a YouTuber, but it's not working out that well. Have any tips?"
Ooh, alright, so this is an interesting question. It gives us an excuse to talk about our own experience, which may not apply to anybody else, but also talk a little bit about, what goes into YouTube and what it means and what you can get out of it, right?
Yeah, and I think this is said a lot, but I think the first and best tip is you have to not want to make it big.
Well,
you can't want it too bad. You have to be willing to not make it big and be happy making the content.
Well, I guess maybe even take a step back, right? You're saying to want to make it big. What is actually big? What is success? Because are we big? I don't think so, like in any way, but in terms of the ecosystem of Injustice mobile games, we're right up there, right? There's not a lot of huge channels. We're not going to be part of the cultural zeitgeist doing this Injustice mobile game only and nothing else. But I think we've reached a reasonably sizable audience doing what we do. If this is to us, this is success, but for you, it may not be. And I think what you said too, the second part of what you said about not really wanting it so bad, right? This is not a job for us.
Yeah, and when we initially made the content, our first piece of content was literally just basically a slightly improved upon set of instructions that we saw somewhere else online to do something. It was something that we had worked on some, but it wasn't an original creation, and it was basically just a video form for instructions. It was almost like those tutorials that you see for like doing something to your computer online. Right. And so it was more of, this was a tool. This was a thing that we would have really wanted when we were figuring it out ourselves.
That's perfect. What would we have wanted to see?
Yeah.
What were we looking for? And that's what we made.
And so the reason why we made the video is because we were actively searching out somebody else who had that video already up that we could use.
To fix it, because Apocalypse, it was the original Apocalypse, the first not Apocalypse, I keep on saying that. The Dark Side Challenge, where your device...
It didn't auto-update. And
it crashed. Like, it was stuck. There was one part of the challenge that was frozen and
what
you
had
couldn't
happened
play.
is it didn't auto-update, and I was getting the Apple challenge when the challenges were desynchronized. And the character data wasn't in it, so it just totally screwed it up. It got really messed up. I couldn't do it.
I think you got Aquaman at one point, too, during that challenge.
Yeah. And so what ended up happening was we made the video that we wanted to see, and people watched it.
Yep.
And then we were like, huh, well, now that we've got your attention, can we keep it at all? And the answer was a little bit.
Yeah.
Not a high percentage of you, but some.
Well, and the second part that comes after making stuff that you want to see has to be, are there enough of other people like you wanting to see it to actually have an audience?
Yeah, so I think you need some number of people watching your videos to make it worth it. No matter how like satisfied you are with your own content. No matter how good the stuff we were making is, I don't think we'd be making it if nobody was watching.
And part of what was success for us too was getting the free stuff. Right, which we're not getting much of lately, but it was kind of fun getting the subscription boxes and getting books to review.
Yeah.
And it was and going to YouTube space events.
Yeah, and community participation too. It was cool seeing early like people kind of find our channel and then stick with our channel, and it was cool to watch that like through comments and stuff.
Yeah. I guess the kicker for me is, I mean, to me it's a lot like community television, right? Where we're getting to create content, not on a scale where we're reaching a huge audience, but we feel like we're participating in this arena, this environment, where we see the creators that we actually really like doing clearly better stuff, but being in that same ecosystem is actually kind of cool. So, now we have an idea how ad revenue works, and we know how music rights work.
Yeah.
And when there's a copyright strike, when we did postmodern discos, we got a permission to use music, and then we had our video demonetized because it took a while for YouTube to figure out that we actually had permission.
Yeah, but I think the best advice that I can give is make a video that if you stumbled upon it on somebody else's channel that you would want to watch.
Yeah, and if you are happy making it, if you require the validation of outside sources, I think you're going to have a very frustrating YouTube experience.
That's true. I think you need to want to make it a little bit in and of itself. You need to be satisfied with it by itself.
Yeah. So we've actually got a little bit of bonus footage here at the end because we thought this might go on a little bit long, but we actually answered the question. So I'm looking at this opportunity to talk about the Flashpoint team and why I like it so much. And so it's same loadout as always. But the other team has a Killing Joke Joker, which in some cases with Shazam could be pretty useful. But this is probably the worst loadout I've ever seen for Killing Joke Joker because you've got Riddler's Staff, Mother Box, both are special dodgers, so less damage, and Astro Harness, which is also less damage because of the invulnerability periods. So what you've done is you've taken Killing Joke Joker, whose best thing is his passive, and you've made it less likely that we're actually going to trigger his passive when we're fighting him.
Yeah, and his second best thing is his ability to do a ton of basic damage while he's in, and then you've also not geared him up for that either.
Right, so if somebody wanted to just tank it and just sit there and wait for you to tag out, they could do that too. I don't think we will because we don't need to, but man, it's almost painful looking at that kind of strategizing.
Yeah, because if the Killing Joke Joker is geared up for basic damage, you can't really afford to leave him on the board. You can't. You can technically, but it's a lot harder to wait him out because he's really going to take a chunk out of you while you wait, right? Yep. When you gear him up to be a tank, what you've essentially done is take the work out of it. You don't have to wait for him to switch out. You can just beat on him until he switches out.
That's right.
And of course, it would also be more useful if he was
not the last one in.
Yeah, if he was in. Well, if he was in first, you'd at least have to deal with him earlier. The fact that he's not in first means that you don't even necessarily have to deal with him, which in this case we didn't. We didn't have to deal with his passive at all.
From an offensive standpoint, it's awful because he's just like a dead spot on your team. And from a defensive standpoint, it's awful because he really adds nothing to it. It doesn't make it any more difficult other than the fact that he's wearing Astro Harness, and anybody wearing it would be difficult.
Yeah.
And so it didn't even take long. And just because we've got it, we'll play out the end of it. So 47 seconds is, not a fast fight, but I think that has nothing to do with Killing Joke Joker. It has everything to do with Astro Harness, which adds a good 10-15 seconds to each fight anyways.
So that's an example of what not to do. People often ask us how to gear teams. The answer is not like that.
Yeah, it's sort of what not to wear. It's like that. All right, so the last fight. So, high stats. Nothing really too exciting.
Deathstroke.
So, but we'll just play this one out because it's there. And because you stuck with us this far. It's like when you watch a show and it doesn't finish. And even if it wasn't that great a show, if you stuck with it long enough, you feel like you want to...
Yeah, I guess closing thing for Danger Kid AK. We've seen your comments in and around our channel before. One thing that we found is that what's a lot more important than subscribers, and I know you like a lot of people when you're really early in, it's like you feel like you need to hit a certain subscriber milestone, and that's what's important. We can tell you as people with 15,000 subscribers who get 1/15 of that in views on a lot of our videos, that subscribers are a lot less important than I think a lot of people make them out to be.
Yeah. The basic stuff is enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah, so just keep at it if you like it. If you want to do well at it, and the fact that you're asking us means you at least care a little bit, right? But if you care enough and you keep at it and you keep trying to make your content better in something that you think if you stumbled on your own channel that you would want to watch it, then I think you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Keep at it.
All right.
So there we go. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Komoda.